Good morning, students. Am I audible? My voice is audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So here we'll start with the next topic. So here, before moving to the next topic, I'll just revise the previous things whatever we have studied. So here we have come across the various definitions like vector space, subspace, column space, and the null space. So here vector space, it is nothing but a non-empty set which is denoted as V, which will be consisting of vector objects on which we can perform the arithmetic addition as well as the scalar multiplication operation. So here this is the basic definition that we can go with, but while explaining either in the test or in the exam, so whatever the equations, conditions that I have given, you need to mention it. And when you come to the subspace, so here suppose if we consider V as a vector space, and if S is belongs to V, then this S it will be called as the subspace, on which also we can perform the addition as well as the scalar multiplication operation. And when you come to the column space, so here in linear algebra, column space it is denoted as C of A. So in the previous problems we have seen how to calculate the column space, how what it will be describing and all, right? So a column space which is represented as C of A, so it is nothing but a set of all possible linear combinations of its column vectors. So for example, as you can see here, so A1, A11, A21, A31, so this will be considered as the combination, linear combination of the column vectors. So here, when you come to the null space, so in null space, it is denoted as n of A. So here, suppose if we have the equation Ax is equal to B, suppose if B is equal to 0, then we'll be having the equation Ax is equal to 0. So whenever the matrix multiplication A with X, it will be resulting in 0. So that will be called as the null space. So here we have these four definitions. You can take it, and on this, we are going to solve. We have solved some of the problems, and we'll continue with this. So now we'll take up the problem, we'll take up the topic solving Ax is equal to 0 and Ax is equal to B. That is, we are going to look at the equation Ax is equal to B, and we'll see what methods can be used in order to solve the given equation Ax is equal to B. And here, this Ax is equal to B, it can be solved using the method called as the row echelon method. So, which is also called as the row reduced form. So, here we'll discuss all those things. So, here before moving to that row reduced form, so here first let us go with the definition of rank of a matrix. So, here suppose if we have the matrix, so here, whenever you'll be given the matrix, in that we may ask to calculate the rank of a matrix. So here the rank of a matrix is nothing but, listen carefully, it is nothing but maximum number of linearly independent vectors in a matrix, which is equal to number of non-zero rows in the row echelon matrix. So I'll just explain what is row echelon matrix, and then we'll take some problems, and we'll see how to find the rank of a matrix. And here, we'll go with the definition here. So if the matrix A, it is of rank R, suppose if there is at least one minor of order R, which is not equal to 0. So this is the first condition. So here, whenever you'll be considering the minor, so here when you solve that minor determinant, that value should not be equal to 0. So here, in that case, we can consider the order of that minor as the rank of a matrix. And also every minor of order R plus 1, if exists, it should be 0. That is the rank of a matrix A. It should be the maximum of its non-vanishing minors. And here the rank of a matrix, it is denoted as row of A is equal to R. So here one matrix is taken which is of the order 4 plus 4, which is defined by the various elements A11, A12, A13, A14 up to A41, A42, A43, A44. So here then the minor of A11. So here minor, we are going to look at the calculation of minor also. So that will come in the module 5. So suppose if you ask to calculate module 4 itself in the forthcoming topics, suppose if you ask to calculate the minor of A11, so then you are going to eliminate the first column and the first row. So eliminating this first row and first column, you are going to write the remaining elements in a matrix, and for this you are going to calculate the minor of an element. So here, if you eliminate this one column and one row, then these are the elements which will be representing the minor of A11. Similarly, if you asked to write the minor of A12, then you have to leave the first row and the second column, and the remaining elements will become the minor of the element A12. Similarly, if you asked to write the minor of A13, then what you have to do? So leave the first row, third column. And similarly, if you ask for A21, then you have to leave the second row and the first column. So here, in which row and column that is present, you have to eliminate that. So eliminating that, so the remaining elements you need to copy. So here we'll take example and I'll show how to do it. So here, as I told, so rank of a matrix. So here it is nothing but, suppose if the minor of order, it should not be equal to 0. When you calculate the determinant, it should not be equal to 0. So then it will be representing the order of a rank of a matrix. And then, next coming to the row reduced form. So row reduced form, as I told, it is also called as the echelon matrix, or it is simply called as the row echelon matrix also. Suppose if you are given the matrix A and it is defined as A11, A12 up to A1n, and similarly AM1, AM2 up to AMN with the matrix of the order m into n, then here you can say that this matrix A, it consists of m rows and n columns, which is denoted as R1, R2, Rm, and C1, C2, Cn respectively. So it means, so here as I told, it is consisting of m rows. So here each row, the first row it is denoted as R1, second row it is denoted as R2, third row it is denoted as R3, and the mth row it is denoted as Rm. Similarly, the column, each column it can be represented as C1, C2, C3, and so on up to Cn. So here having this assumption, and suppose if you want to reduce this, so here if two rows, if you consider the two rows Ri and Rj, if they are interchanged, then it can be denoted as Rij. Suppose if you want to exchange R1 with R2, then it can be represented as R12. And similarly, suppose if each element of Rj is multiplied by non-zero scalar k, then it can be represented as krj. Suppose for example, if you want to multiply the second row element, R2 elements, if you want to multiply it by can you hear me? Yes. If you want to multiply the row 2 elements by 3, then you can represent that as 3 into R2. Similarly, the third type of operation that you can perform is, so here each element of Ri, it can be added to the corresponding element of Krj, then it can be denoted as Ri plus Krj. So for example, so as I told, if you multiply this R2 by 2, so then that is represented as 2R2. And if you want to add with this R1, then that will be represented as R1 plus 2R2. So all these operations will take with the numerical problems. So here all the three transformations, they are considered as the elementary transformation. And after applying all these elementary transformations on the matrix A, we are going to result in a new matrix which is denoted as B. And this new matrix B, it is called as the row reduced form of matrix A, or it is called as the row echelon of matrix A. So here, whenever we will be performing the row reduced form or echelon, so then we have to remember two rules. So one is, so all the rows of zeros, they should be present at the bottom. So I'll take example and I'll show. So here I'll just go back to the notebook, because if I explain orally, you may not understand. So here, can you see the screen now? ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ screen? Can you see the screen? Answer me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Whenever you will be applying the row reduced form or the echelon form, then as I told you, we have to remember two rules. So the first rule is, so here all the rows of zeros, they should be present at the bottom of a matrix, and also it should have a staircase pattern of first non-zero entry in each row. So for example, if I write a matrix, here I'll be taking simply one matrix as an example, 0, -1, 2, 0, 0, 0. So here, suppose if you have this matrix, so here you can see that, so this is the row reduced form I'm showing here. This is not the original matrix. So I'll assume this matrix as the matrix which is obtained after applying the row echelon matrix method. So here, whenever we'll be obtaining such matrix, so here we have to see that it should have the row of 0 at the bottom. So here you can see it consists of a row of 0 at the bottom. And also here you have to get the staircase pattern of first non-zero entry in the each row. So here if you observe the row 1, so the first non-zero entry is 1, right? So here in the second row, the first non-zero entry is -1. So here in the third row we don't have. So here when you put a diagram like this, when you draw a line like this, so it should be like a staircase form. So here we have to look into two concepts. One is it should have zeros or rows of zeros at the bottom, and also it should have the staircase pattern of first non-zero entry in each row. And for example, I'll take one more thing, and in order to show it is not a row echelon form. So here I'll be taking the elements like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 0, 0, 1, 2, and then 0, 0, 1, 0, and 0, 0, 0, 2. So in this you can see that, so I have having assumption that this is a row reduced form. So in this you can see that it does not contain the row of zeros at the bottom. So it may contain in the last row, it may be present in the continuous third row, second row, and so on. But zeros of rows, it should be present at the bottom. So here it is not, the first condition itself fails. And also here the second condition is it should follow a staircase pattern of first non-zero entry in each. So here in the first row, the first non-zero element is, just a minute. The first non-zero element is 1. In the second row, the first non-zero element is 1. And in the third row, the first non-zero element is 1. And in the fourth row, 2 is the first non-zero element. So when you draw a pattern, you are supposed to get a staircase pattern. So here you can see that. So here I'll go. So here at this point, it has to take a turn. So after having the non-zero entry, so here you are supposed to get a pattern like this, but here we don't get. So it is going to be continued, and then it will be taking this path and this path. So here you can see that the staircase pattern fails. So here such matrix, it cannot be considered as the row reduced form. So keeping all this in our mind, so we need to go for the calculation. And also here in the row reduced form, we may come across the term called as the pivot. So here pivot of a matrix. So here we may ask to calculate the pivot of a matrix and also to identify the pivot columns. So here first we'll see what is the definition of pivot. So here whenever you will be reducing the given matrix to a row echelon form, then the first non-zero entry of each row is called as a pivot. So here in the first example, so you can see that 1 in the first row, it is the non-zero entry, and in the second row the first non-zero entry is -1, and in the third row we don't have. So if the pivot of this matrix will be 1 and -1, and then after identifying the pivots, then we should identify the pivot columns. So pivot columns is nothing but the column which will be consisting of the pivots. So here you can say that the column C1 and column C2, they will be considered as the pivot columns of a given matrix or the row reduced matrix. And also you need to remember, so here for each pivot, below this pivot, you are going to find a 0 column. So here As I told, I'll be rewriting once again 1, 2, 3, 0 minus 1, 2, 0, 0, 0. So here, first non-zero entry in the first row is 1. So this will be the pivot in the first row. So below this pivot, you should find a column of zeros. So here you can see we have a column of zeros. And when you come to the second row, here the first non-zero element is minus 1. So below this pivot, we should find a 0, right? So here we have to keep in this mind. So here if you have the form like this, automatically you will be having the staircase pattern also. So here the pivot is nothing but the first non-zero entry of each row, that will be called as the pivot of a matrix, and the column which will be consisting of that pivot, it will be considered as the pivot columns. So here we'll take example. ಇದು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು pivot ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, pivot columns ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ? Have you understood this? Have you understood this? Because now I'm going to take many problems on this, you should be able to solve it. So just tell me, have you understood the concept of pivot and pivot columns? Bhavana TM.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you understood this?
Yes, ma'am.
Pivot, and what do you mean by pivot? Anyone? Reply me back. See, pivot is nothing but a first non-zero entry. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ರೋ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇದರೊಳಗೆ suppose if we had 0 ಇದ್ರೆ this is not the first non-zero entry. So 2 will become the first non-zero entry ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So then this will become the pivot. ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? So ಈ example ಅಲ್ಲಿ I have taken 1, 2, 3 as the first row element. So here the first non-zero entry is 1. So this is the pivot in a given matrix, that is in the first row. Similarly, second row ali, if I write 0, minus 1 and 2. So here the non-zero, first non-zero entry is minus 1. Suppose instead of this, if I write like minus 1, 0, 2. So here then the starting pivot is minus 1. So here the first non-zero entry in each row, that will be considered as the pivot. So here the pivot where it presents, in which column, wherever it is present, that will be considered as the pivot column. But here along with that, we should also see that under each pivot we should find a zeros after having the row reduced form. So all this you need to keep in our mind. And then along with this pivot of a matrix, rank of a matrix, and row reduced form, so here we'll also go with some basic definitions of linear independency and all, so that we can solve the problems on that also. So next we'll take up the topic linear combination. So here we may ask to write the given elements in the linear combination form also. Then we should be able to write it. So here first we'll just see the definition. So here when you come to the linear combination, so here we are going to assume V as a vector space over a field F, and also we'll assume V1, V2, Vn. So all they belongs to the vector space V. So here any vector which is of the form A1 multiplied with V1 plus A2 V2 plus A3 V3 and so on up to AN Vn, which are present in the vector space V. So here where AI, it is belongs to the scalar F, which is called as the linear combination of V1, V2, V3 up to Vn. So here we'll take problems on this and we'll see how to write. And the next one is the linear dependency. So here linear dependency, now to define that. So here once again you are going to consider V as the vector space over the field F, and the vectors V1, V2, Vn, they are said to be linearly dependent over F if all scalars A1 up to An, they belongs to F, are not 0, but linear combination is 0. So here and contrary to this, we also have linear independence definition. So here we can say the given equation is whatever the set we are given. So here they are said to be linearly independent.
Suppose if A1, A2, A1 V1 plus A2 V2 plus A3 V3 and so on, that is equal to 0. So here provided that all AI, that is the constants, whatever you are going to see, so they are equal to 0. But V1, V2, V3 and so on, they may not be equal to 0. So some certain conditions are there. So here for this we have the various condition. For example, suppose in this, if V1 is a 0 vector and then the set is said to be linearly dependent, and here we may choose A1 as 3 and the remaining A2 up to AN may be 0. So here if A2 to AN is 0, but if A1 is 3 and V1 is a 0 vector, even though V1 is a 0 vector, if we have A1 as 3, then this will become, or this will be considered as the linearly dependent equation. So have you understood? Linear independence ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, so linear independence ಅಲ್ಲಿ A1, A2 up to AN ಏನು ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಥವಾ which belongs to the scalar ಅಂತ ತಗೊಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ, ಆ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲವುದು 0 ಇರಬೇಕು. So any one value A1 if it is equal to 3, even though A2 up to AN if it is equal to 0, then it will be considered as the dependent or the linearly dependent combination. And like this we have so many conditions. We'll see one by one with the example itself. So here now we'll go back to the problems in order to have a clear clarification. I'll just share a notebook. All of you just go with the problem. I'll be taking the first problem. Take down the first problem. Find the value of C. Find the value of C that makes it possible. That makes it possible to solve the equation AX is equal to B. To solve AX is equal to B and solve it for the equation U plus V plus 2W is equal to 2. 2U plus 3V minus W is equal to 5. 3U plus 4V plus W is equal to C. So we'll take up this problem later. So before this, first let us get the idea of dependency and independency. So take down the next problem. Determine whether or not the vectors V1, V2 are linearly dependent. Determine whether V1, V2 are linearly dependent for V1 is equal to 139, V2 is equal to 241, second one V1 is equal to 34 and V2 is equal to 6, 8. So here two vectors are given, V1 and V2. We have to identify whether this V1 and V2 are linearly dependent or not. So here when you consider the first case, so in the first one we have V is equal to, that is V1 is equal to 139 and V2 is equal to 241, right? So here if you observe the elements of V1 and V2, they are not depending on each other. So here they are not the multiple of any of the elements. So here 139, they are independent from 241. So here you can say that V1 and V2, no vector in this is a multiple of the other. Hence this V1 and V2, they can be considered as linearly independent. You can mention instead of not linearly dependent, you can also mention linearly independent. Since V1 and V2, they are not multiple of each other. So when you come to the second case, so and if you observe the elements of V1 and V2, so here we can see that V1 is provided with 3, 4 and V2 is with 6 and 8. So here if you see what is the equation of, what is the dependency between V2 and V1? So here V2 is 2 times of V1. So here 2 3s are 6, 2 4s are 8. So here since V2 is twice the times of V1, so here we can say that V1 and V2 are linearly dependent on each other. So dependency property get directly if you want to identify. So here this is one property that can be used. So here we can check whether any elements are depending on the elements of the other set. So in the first case, so V1 and V2 elements are independent. So here you can say that both the vectors given in the first case are linearly independent. And in the second case, so V2 elements, they are depending on the V1 element. So that is shown by V2 is equal to 2 times of V1. So here you can mention that. So here V1 and V2 are linearly dependent vectors. So this is one type of problem to identify the dependency. And the third one, determine whether the vectors V1 of 1, 2, 3, V2 of 3, 1, 7 and V3 of 2, 5, 8 are linearly dependent or linearly independent. So here the third problem is given. So here V1 is equal to 1, 2, 3 and V2 is equal to 317, V3 is equal to 258. So here we need to say whether V1, V2, V3 are independent or dependent. So anybody can directly tell me the answer? Whatever the property that I had told previously. By using that also, you can say whether they are independent or dependent. Anybody? Meghana? Meghana, yes. Megha MK. Muskan Banu. ಕೇಳಿಸ್ಕೊತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರೋ ಅಥವಾ ಇಲ್ವೋ? V1 is this much, V2 is this much, V3 is this much. Whether can you see the dependency?
All are independent, ma'am.
All are independent, right? So here by observing the elements itself, you can make the statement. That is one method. So here instead that we have to check whether it is going to result in a whether it is equal to 0 or not. So here for that, here I'll just show the method. So here first let us consider the equation like x v1 plus y v2 plus z v3. It should be equal to 0. So this can be written as x is constant that we have taken, v1 is nothing but 1 comma 2 comma 3 plus y, v2 is 3 comma 1 comma 7 plus z of 2 comma 5 comma 8 is equal to, since 3 elements are there, so here write 0, 3 zeros on the right hand side. So which implies that, so here write the 3 equations from this. So here from this we can write x into 1 is x plus 3 into y is 3y plus z into 2 is 2z is equal to 0. So this is the first equation. Similarly, x into 2 is 2x plus y into 1 is y plus 5 into z is 5z is equal to 0. This is the second equation. And third equation is 3x plus 7y plus 8z is equal to 0. This is the third equation. So which should imply that a multiplied with x, it should result in 0. So if you have the 0 vector, then you can say that it is linearly dependent. So here you can write in the next. So here what is the matrix of A from these 3 equations? So first from these three equations, you have to write the matrix of A. A is equal to whatever the coefficients you are going to see for x, y, z. So all those coefficients should be copied here. So here from the first equation, the coefficients of x, y, z are 1, 3, 2. From the second expression 2, 1, 5. And third expression 3, 7, 8. So on this matrix, which you have to perform the row echelon or the row reduced form. So here I'll be applying the operation like you have to observe. So here I'll write the operation like R2 minus 2R1, and also I'll be performing R3 minus 3R1, and I'll be keeping the answers in R2 and R3. So now the matrix A becomes just what we are doing. So here from this, the first row it will not change because we have not made any change. So 1, 3, 2 will be there. So here we are performing R2 minus 2R1. So R2 elements is 2, 1, 5. So subtract the elements of R1 multiplied by 2 from the elements of R2. So here 2R1 in the sense here will be having 2, 6 and 4. 2, 6, 4 it has to be subtracted from 2, 1, 5. So here you should try to get 0. So here 0. First one is 2 minus 2 is 0. Next 1 minus 6 is minus 5 and 1. And then R3 minus 3R1. So R3 minus 3R1 you just do. So yes, we'll get 0. And here we'll get 1. Sorry, minus 2 and 2 will be getting. So here in this, as I told, so here by observing the elements, given elements itself, we can make the statement that is they are linearly independent. And other than that, you can also make use of this method, and we'll try to use the row reduced form in order to get the non-zero rows in the row reduced form of a matrix. So here, suppose if you don't get any non-zero rows, then we'll be identifying the number of unknowns from this matrix A. So here after this, one more operation let us try. So here I'll just apply minus 1 multiplied with R2, and also I'll be performing minus 1 by 2 R3. So when you do that, so we'll be getting A as, so 1, 3, 2 and 0, 5 minus 1, and here I'll not be getting any zeros. And even if we exchange R2 and is R3, then it will be resulting in, so 1, 3, 2, R2 is placed in place of R3 and R3 is placed in place of R2. So here I'll be getting 0, 1, 1, 0, 5 minus 1, and then you can apply R3 minus 5 R2. So it will be giving the answer as 1, 3, 2, 0, 1, 1, and here I'll be getting 0, 0, minus 6. So here you can see that there is no 0 rows present. So here the rank of this matrix after the row reduced form, so it is row of A
Ma'am,
to 3. Yes.
minus 1.
minus 1 by 2 into R3, 1 and minus 1, ma'am.
Yavadappa?
R3, ma'am.
Here
A equals to anta bandide ಅಲ್ಲ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
E plus
1 minus 1, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So here you'll be getting minus 1, right? Illu minus baratta? Minus
Yes,
1
ma'am.
out. Okay. Then whatever may be the case, here you can see that it is resulting in non-zero rows. So here whatever the number of non-zero rows are there, so here 3 non-zero rows are there. So here whatever the number of non-zero rows are there, that itself represents the rank of a matrix A. So here the rank of this matrix A, it is equal to 3, which is also equal to number of unknowns. So in this you can see that number of unknowns are 3, x, y, z. So here you can mention which is also equal to number of unknowns. So here I'll write number of unknowns. So here you can make the statement that this whatever the system that is given, it is a consistent one. And also here we will be getting the solution Ax is equal to 0 only when x, y, z all are equal to 0. So only in this case we'll be having the solution for Ax is equal to 0. So having this condition, we can make the statement that V1, V2, V3 are independent. So just by observing, you can make the statement, but depending on the marks and so on, so you have to go with the method. So rejoin the class, we'll take the problems on the rank of a matrix for another 15 minutes.